Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. President William Samoei Ruto went to Kisii on Saturday, and while addressing Kenyans during the mass Thanksgiving ceremony there, he publicly lynched the petitioners that had petitioned government against the affordable housing, the housing levy, and the health insurance reforms that were recently initiated by the Cabinet Secretary Susan Nahumisha. And he said that he will use the sword to deal with those who believes are actually rendering the government immobile, or those he thinks are against the agendas of Kenya Kwanza. And according to President Ruto, anyone going to court to seek a legal clarification, rather a legal repositioning of maybe some policies, is believed as a man or a woman who just wants to storm Kenya Kwanza government. And to forestall such a crisis, he has vowed to use the sword, a statement that has not gone well with even the Law Society of Kenya. This is what Ruto said in Kisii. And so it is very clear that the petitioners against affordable housing are known. Okiya Omtata is one of them, amongst other players from the civil society organizations. And Okiya Omtata has been a public litigant, a veteran public litigant for long. I don't think he has just started this one. Even during Uhuru Kenyatta time, he was heading to court. Now, on Monday morning, because the statement that the president bordered a threat, and as a person who had petitioned the government, Okiya Omtata went to the nearest police station in Kisii, not very far from where William Ruto was talking, and that police station is known as Nyanchwa Police Station. He walked there, and according to this report is that he was received warmly by the junior officers, and he went there to record a statement. But after engagement, the OCBD took a break from the office, and when he came back, he declined, or rather rejected Okiya Omtata's bid to write a statement. He was blocked and actually chased away from the police station. And later, while attempting to record that statement, the OCPD seems to have taken the direction of the sword. And the sword had been seen by the DCI as a voice of warning those against President Ruto's position. This will then, what this will mean is that this was going to start a case against William Ruto about the sword. And I think the state operatives already had foreseen this was coming, and they would not want the discussion about the sword to continue. This is something that you cannot underestimate. And in this podcast, I want to explain to you why President is lynching the petitioners in public. Actually, you don't expect that anyone who is going to court is going to be killed by anyone. I don't think. That one I don't expect. That is not in the picture. I don't even expect that a judge who has issued orders and such will be killed or so. No. This is simply a strategy to lynch the petitioners. And I may give you a brief assignment. Can you look around? Do your research and find out who have been the petitioners against government? William Ruto has believed that these are people that are within some stakeholders, believes these are corrupt people that have benefited from corrupt deals. However, in this podcast, allow me to narrow down to why these petitioners are being lynched. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell and like our videos. Thank you very much for those who are supporting us. Now, I want to add my voice I just want to bring up an idea. We are heading to the festive season. We are in the festive season, and I would urge my supporters of the Bold Network family to adopt a family or two. Adopt a family is something that was done during COVID-19, where you do a shopping and take to a family. You just adopt one family. So in your capacity, from where you are staying, even in your neighborhood, if you are staying somewhere and if you look at your neighborhood, hata ukienda even to the slums or some areas, just realize there is a gap. You can adopt one or two families. Even me, I'll go back and adopt even within your family circle. Even, from your family members, if you're abroad, adopt one or two families. So adopt a family is a message, a campaign message you want to do in this festive season. What are you going to do in your capacity as a Bold Network member? We normally say humanity comes first. So in the face of humanity comes first, adopt a family. Adopt one, adopt two. Just the way even me, I'm also going to adopt 3 back at home in my small village in Masumbi, Alego Songasea County. So you can also adopt. And if you want a family to adopt, I know I have that network. I can share with you some contacts so that you adopt them. Just do the budget. Weka kwa boda boda. Can do it. Can send me, do the budget. Weka kwa boda boda. You are in there. Don't send the money. Do them that shopping kadogo. You are in there. If you have a network, someone can do it for you. You can do it here. Now, and I believe that I really want to see the feedback on Adopt a Family. Those of us who will take up that initiative. Now, Ruto is running a political sabotage narrative. And I want to tell you, in the near future, I will not be shocked to see Kenya Kwanza operatives running a narrative that there have been forces sabotaging the government. And I'll not even be shocked to hear some quarters saying that Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga are the ones that were sponsoring those petitions so that they sabotage government. That's it. And when yesterday, just on Sunday during the round table, he was asked this question: why don't you leave the courts to do their work? And it started with Mambo ni Matatu, now it has come to the sword. And he said, it's a figurative language. So Mambo ni Matatu was a figurative language, the sword is also a figurative language. But if you look at the body language when the president is talking about this issue of the sword and so, it's not a figurative language. He actually means it.
Dhidi ya ufisadi na uhuru wa taasisi mbalimbali na mihimili tofauti ya serikali, umejitangaza wazi kwamba hutalegeza kamba katika vita dhidi ya ufisadi.
Hutalegeza kamba.
Naam, na umekuwa na kauli ambazo umekuwa ukizitumia, na nikikunukuu wakati mmoja kwa kule magharibi ukizungumzia kuhusu wafisadi ambao unaamini wamelemaza sekta ya viwanda vya sukari. Ulisema ima uhame Kenya ama nikuweke jela ama usafiri uende mbinguni. Hili halijaonekana kuendana vyema na watetezi wa haki za binadamu. Mbona usiruhusu mahakama ifanye kazi yake?
Nimezuia, nimesema tutakupeleka mahakamani.
Inachukuliwa kama kitisho.
Lakini wacha nikueleze ya kwamba jambo la ufisadi ni figurative language to drive home the point that this is no longer a joke. And for your information, because of what I did, we have managed to sort out the biggest cartel in Mumias.
Vitisho vinafanya kazi?
No, sio vitisho, ni kuambia tu watu ukweli. Kwamba mahali mambo imefika, hatuwezi kuendelea vile tunaendelea. Lazima tubadilishe mwenendo wetu. And I am telling you, let me repeat here, that for those people who are corrupt, please look for another country. Because it is not going to be business as usual. Even as we look places where we find, even as we do what we have to do to make sure that all Kenyans are we avoid pilferage, we avoid corruption. Even as we do that, for those of the incorrigible characters, the people who benefit from corruption, the people who try even to influence the criminal justice system, the people who beneficiaries, like what I talked to you about. I mean, surely the people who are going to court to stop, implementation of programs that are public, you know. These are, and you know very well, you can see their fingerprints, that these are beneficiaries of corruption. They are so daring with impunity that they want to manipulate the whole system.
But
it is the same thing.
Isn't that democracy, really,
that
Mr. President?
Is it democracy to steal?
No. Sorry.
Going to
I'm
court.
talking about the question of going to court, especially for the programs you're talking about.
No, I mean, I have no problem. I'm not complaining. I've said they've gone to court, but I'm going to call them out that I know you. I know the fellows who have gone to court. I know the fellows who are sponsoring this, because I know them. They will not hide, because I can see their fingerprints. Let me give you an example. I told the people of Kenya that we need to increase our savings as a percentage of our GDP. That we are doing very badly. Countries like China are at 55%.
And that is what I was saying. I don't think it's not only an excuse narrative, and it's an escape narrative that whoever is going to court is not interested in, not in the case. So and so is just interested in making the government unpopular or making sure that government fails. That is why anyone who is going to court is being branded corrupt or agents of corruption. You cannot underestimate, and I want to say, I cannot underscore the fact that there are also factors behind the petitions, factors behind the illegality. But those factors behind the illegality, someone cannot go to court if there is no illegality. And the court of the judges cannot give an alternative interpretation of the situation if there is no problem. And that is what is bringing me to the second question, to the second point. We are lynching petitioners, and we don't want people to petition because majority of these programs are riddled with illegalities. They are riddled with illegalities. And they know very well, and Ruto knows very well, that quite a number of programs here, if they reach to court, if they head to court, the court can really send them packing. Affordable housing, for example, and you know, I looked at this. You are building houses to affordable houses to Kenyans. All Kenyans. It's a national project. You are taking 1.5% from people's salaries, people who are employed. Out of the project, only 30% have been given preferential. Out of the houses being built, only 30% have been set aside for the formal team, the people in the formal employment. Remember, the people in the formal employment are the biggest. They are actually 80%. They are 80% contributors to the fund. And it's 90%. Despite them being 90% contributors to the fund, only 30% of the houses have been set aside exclusively for them. Now, that is just, look at just the injustice in it. Now, do you know that people in the informal sector earn more than people who are employed? But because you don't have a model of capturing them, you have overridden the payroll guys. And that's what Justice Manjanja said. It is injustice to already raid the payroll guys because they easily, that is the money that easily be collected, to build the houses for everyone. It is injustice. Number two, FKE, Federation of Kenyan Manufacturers, have been saying that one thing going on is after employee 1.5% is deducted, then the employer also pays 1.5, matches that contribution. On what ground? Is the employer entitled to any house? No. You know, Is there any incentive that employer is getting from contributing? No. The only thing here is that we are building houses for the youth. We are creating jobs for the youth. It's purely robbery. Look at the one for the health. They're challenging, they're saying that unless you have matched, you have contributed to the fund, you will not be able to access other government services. Even though that is just meant to capture people in the informal sector. But is that fair? That is what is being challenged in court. Then someone comes and says, you know what, it's about forestalling government. So the reason why we are lynching petitioners is because programs are riddled with illegalities. Number 3, I think State House handlers believe, internal conviction, that what is making government unpopular is these petitions. Or rather, the court losses. The government is getting ashamed of the court losses. Because, remember, for example, the court at one point issued breaks on finance bill, and also issued some temporary breaks on affordable housing. And that was coming, the courts have been issuing orders that are very aligned, that is pro-hustlers. Affordable finance bill was opposed by the hustlers, by the Kenyans. Then the courts issued such. So, it is believed, I think those people just think that the petitions are giving impetus to the courts to issue orders that are actually against government. Or it's making the outcry by Kenyans legitimate. The courts are legitimizing the concerns by the public. And it does, I believe, it is not exclusively about people forestalling, because affordable housing, the one that Ruto has been complaining about, they have been collecting the money. No one has stopped them. The court issued stay orders until January 2020. And they're seeing the way that case is going, they seem to be losing the case. They know very well that on this, in the next financial year, the court will issue stops on this. And they seem to be losing that case. So they've resorted to it. That is number 3. Lastly, Ruto is a bit disturbed by the fact that petitioners are having soft spot in the courts. You know, truth of the matter here is, if the other state arms have been captured, then the only one that remains are the courts. The courts cannot work maybe as you wish, but it's about the law. And that is why I believe that the bid even to stop Okiya Omtata from making statement so overthrow this is not something that just came from nowhere. This is a well choreographed strategy. Maybe orders have been dispatched that anyone that will want to escalate, and you know, Ruto knows very well that the issue of the story is already facing public backlash, and he will not want that discussion to escalate. So anyone who will even want to sue the president of this, you know, it's something that maybe will face criticism. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my take. Let's look at the next. Thank you. And remember to adopt a family in your capacity, mali unaishi, in your neighborhood. If you're abroad, you know people back home here, you also want support, I can link you. I know I have some of these fellows here who have been getting to my inbox. I can link you up to families, 1 or 2. You adopt, fanyia taka budget kidogo ya Christmas as we do. Do it at your individual level. Thank you.